Hi, my name is Erin, and this is my story. I was sexually abused as a young child from 11 to 13 by somebody I loved and trusted, an older cousin. I stayed in that silence for nearly 2 years when I was sexually abused before finding my voice, breaking my silence, only to go from a silent little girl to filled with anger and rage. And for years, I was consumed over what he had done to me, how he had violated me, and I ended up going down a very destructive path in my life as I hit middle school and high school, because I continued to be haunted by this man's actions. I ended up going down a very destructive path once I reached high school. Haunted by nightmares and flashbacks, I began to take razors to my wrists because the physical pain was far more bearable than the emotional pain that I was going through. Eventually, at 16, I thought life was not worth living anymore and ended up attempting suicide. Years later, as I went on to high school, shortly after the suicide attempt, and eventually came to this place in my life where all this toxic anger and rage just consumed me. I had so much bitterness towards this cousin that hurt me. So I confronted my cousin in a 5-page letter, filled with all that anger and rage. Never in a million years would have expected a response back, but I got one. And I watched what God was doing in my life, transforming for the next 7 months. As I confronted my cousin and we exchanged emails back and forth through letters, telling him the pain and horror he caused me and wanting him to take accountability. I never would have imagined that first letter that was filled with so much anger and rage would end 7 months later with him asking for forgiveness, him apologizing, and him understanding and accepting that maybe I won't accept his apology. And I remember for a week reading this letter over and over and realizing that I cannot hold on to this anger and hatred anymore. I've allowed this person, this cousin of mine, to consume my joy and happiness. And just as God has told me I want to be forgiven for my sins, I've got to forgive those that have hurt me. And I began to go from this person I hated more than anything to letting go of that, forgiving him in a letter, and suddenly found the peace and joy I longed for. It was like this burden, this anger, this bitterness, everything that I had been holding on to for so many years just lifted from me and came to that place in my life where I had found my voice and found something positive out of this painful thing by now standing up, speaking out, and being a face and voice for the millions of others that have suffered the horrors of sexual abuse and what it can do to your life, and how they too can heal their life and find the pathway to forgiveness the way I have. Forgiveness is what set me free. Choosing to forgive has led me to living for today. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good.